Rocky II, starring Sylvester Stallone, is the sequel to the critically and commercially lauded film Rocky, a story about the ultimate underdog boxer who receives an opportunity of a lifetime to fight for the heavyweight championship of the world. In the sequel, Stallone reprises his role as the titular character, but he writes and directs this movie and begins a trend where he does so for future installments. Fun fact, the original director, John G. Avildsen, who directed the first film, couldn't direct Rocky II because he was signed on to direct Saturday Night Fever starring John Travolta. Ironically, Stallone directed the sequel of Saturday Night Fever, Staying Alive. So it seems Stallone had a history of directing the sequels of John G. Avildsen films, and Rocky II was no exception. With Avildsen gone, Stallone demanded to United Artists, a distribution company, that they allow him to direct the film, otherwise he would walk. This leverage ensured that all the other main characters, Talia Shire, Burt Young, Carl Weathers, and Burgess Meredith, were allowed to reprise their respective roles. Rocky II picks up right where the first film left off, with Rocky finishing his brutal bout with Apollo. The two fighters are being carried to the hospital in ambulance to deal with their wounds, and they stay there to recover. Upon recovery, both fighters attempt to adjust to the aftermath of their bout. Rocky is satisfied to know that Apollo gave him his all, and he lasted to the end of the fight, which was his goal. He uses his newfound notoriety to upgrade his life. He buys a new car, new watches, a new house, and even makes Adrian his new wife. His status in his neighborhood is elevated because of this heavyweight bout, and now Rocky is hood famous. However, due to the brutality of this bout with Apollo, his eye is severely injured, and he promises Adrian he won't fight anymore and attempts to adjust to a normal life. To his surprise, keeping that promise isn't easy. He tries to do commercials, but he can barely read. He tries to work in a meat factory, but he gets laid off due to downsizing. He even tries to work for Mick, but the humiliation of working where he begins frustrates him as the envious boxers in the club berate him every day. While all this is happening, the story juxtaposes to Apollo's life. His status descends because he nearly lost to an unknown Philadelphia club fighter. Various people write vitriolic letters. One letter, rumored by internet scholars, comes from a fan by the name of James Clubber Lang. Mr. Lang calls Apollo a, quote, backwards Dylan, buck dancing, bootlicking, money grubbing raccoon that would rather sell out his people for a nickel than compete in a legitimate boxing match against an illiterate bum like Balboa, unquote. Actually, I took artistic liberty to that last statement, but some fans did question his black credentials. But anyway, angry and determined to regain his black card, Apollo does what any self-respecting black heavyweight champion would do: challenge the Italian stallion to a rematch. And of course, Rocky accepts, and why wouldn't he? What the hell else he's got to do? Teach nuclear biology? You think he wasn't going to come back into the ring? Come on. But Rocky is unmotivated to train. He only has 9 weeks to get into shape to face Apollo, who was hell-bent on sending Rocky to his destruction. Mickey tells Rocky,
now for a 45-minute fight, you got to train hard for 45,000 minutes. 45,000.
That's what he actually says. I bullshit you not. Nevertheless, Rocky half-ass trains, aids his wife while she's in a coma, and only decides to completely dedicate himself to defeating Apollo when she gives him permission to fight and go win. Truthfully, Rocky II doesn't have the magic of the first film. The stakes for Rocky in this movie aren't as high as the first movie. The motivation for Rocky Balboa to enter the ring with Apollo seems weak in comparison to the original. In this film, it seems Apollo is the one who has the most to prove, and he trains harder to redeem himself in their match. Considering that, the outcome of the fight at the end seems anticlimactic since the major theme of this film is redemption. Rocky doesn't really redeem himself because he didn't work harder to achieve his goal of becoming champion. It seemed that Stallone wasn't sure where to take his character, and he allowed him to win out of convenience instead of staying true to the theme of the story. I don't think that Rocky II is the worst movie in the series, but in this installment, you can clearly see that Stallone was still trying to figure out where to take this franchise. For Rocky II, I give it 3 out of 5 stars and a thumbs down. Join us next time for more reviews. We'll keep them coming. This is the Film Insurrectionist, and remember, the theatrical release will not be televised. Take care.
How much did you get to carry that bum for 15 rounds? You're a disgrace to your people.
Why can't you ignore it?